Hello. What's your name? What's your podcast? Well, my name's Keir Miron, and you're listening to episode 52 of The Question Bus. This is the last episode of the season, and I'm going to be taking a little break. So if you want to know when I'm back, subscribing is probably the best way. Because then when the podcast shows up Saturday morning at 3 a.m. when I normally upload this podcast, it'll be in your phone ready to go as you're traveling from the Pacific time zone abroad. If you got a flight Saturday morning and you have your podcast set up to automatically update after 3 on Saturdays, then you'll be listening to me when that comes back. I want to take a little break because I want to come back with something different for season 2. Season 1, outside of the Ryan Clark interview where we're stuck in an airport, mostly interviewing people not from Vancouver. So my current plan is to come back with for season 2 or for a future season. I might switch it up, but I definitely want to do a season with people I know from the city, from Vancouver, Canada, or people I've worked with, because it's kind of like, it's amazing that I've been able to, at least personally, that I've been able to record this many interviews with people I really didn't know before I started this podcast, for the most part, or I loosely knowed or vaguely known. Like the grammar. This is one take, so there might be some grammar issues, but feel free to write in with a correction if you find any. But yeah, I kind of want to come back and do more in-depth prepared interviews, just because, like, the interviews I do are pretty much, minus the one where I interviewed the rapper Torre. I didn't have to write the questions beforehand. I kind of just come and wing it, and that normally works for what I'm doing and kind of fits the format of being on the road with a mic, and kind of doing quick, short interviews. But I kind of want to come back and maybe do some more in-depth in-depth interviews with people I know and people I've worked with. I think they'd be cool with it, because a lot of people are kind of like, I feel some tension with the podcast, because it's like I'm interviewing all these people that are not people I see very often, but the people I see every month at the meetup or people I work with I haven't interviewed. I guess I interviewed John, but that was in LA. So I think I want to come back with that. I'm more confident in my mobile setup. And so that's the plan for season 2, and that's not all we're talking about today. This is the grand finale episode. So what we're gonna do is go through the 3 interviews I thought were the worst, and they're not bad. Like, they're not bad. The people are not bad. The games aren't bad, but not everybody makes the cut, I guess. So this is kind of the cutting room floor episode where I'm going to just unload these 3 interviews on you. And 2 of them are from PAC South. So 2 of them are about a year old, more than a year old from when you're hearing this. PAC South, I believe, was last weekend. I'm recording this pretty close to the date too. Like, I'm recording this at 5:25 February 2nd, 2017. So let's start with this game called Light the Way, which was one of the at PAC South 2016. It's one of the first interviews I did. Here we go. Okay, so what's your name and what's your game?
My name is Mylan Harris, and I'm working on a game called Light the Way.
How many people are you working on it with?
I'm working with myself. Well, I'm working with a friend of mine, and it's just 2 of us.
So what's the role breakdown between the 2 of you?
So I'm mainly the artist along with a level programmer. So I'll do like stuff like enemies and moving platforms, stuff like that, along with all the art. And then my friend's doing a lot of level design along with most of the more intense programming.
Okay, so you guys are both programming. How do you guys like manage who's doing what?
We just talk to each other. We use an app called Discord. It's sort of like a TeamSpeak mixed with Skype. And so we just message each other, and I'll say, I'm going to work on this enemy AI, and he'll say, okay, I'm going to work on this, or we sync it all through GitHub, so we'll be able to sync the files easily.
So, did you guys start working on multiple games and then kind of come to this game as a what you guys wanted to put more work into, or was it always just going to be this game?
Well, he had this game idea for a while, and he had prototyped it before, and so I recently actually got a 2D lighting asset off the Unity Asset Store, and so we were both working on separate projects, and we just wanted to get something out with our name on it. So we decided, we're going to put those on hold and just go together and get this project done.
So when I ran into you, I asked you if you had a booth, and you guys didn't have a booth this year. Are you guys planning on showing on a show in the near future?
Yeah, we're actually planning on getting to RTX with a friend of mine. We're going to split the booth cost, and so we should probably be showing at RTX. If not that, hopefully PAX East. PAX Prime, my bad.
Do you guys have like a local meetup where you're from where you can show the game?
Well, he's from California and I'm from Houston, so he goes to meetups there and I go to meetups here. We don't actually interact in person very often. I've met him once, so we don't interact in person, but we go to our local meetups in the different areas.
Do you guys get to meet up at events like this?
Not often. We're hoping to do that when we go to RTX, but yeah, not often.
So how's the Houston developer meetup?
It's pretty good. There's a Unity meetup, which is run by a guy who's been in the industry for a while, and he knows a lot about Unity. And it's actually held at the Art Institute of Houston, so one of the instructors is a part of the meetup too. Along with that, there's a game dev show and tell meetup where people show off their games and network and stuff, so that's cool. And they also have a IDGA meetup at a bar there, so there's a good amount of meetups there.
Okay, and how big are the meetups?
The Unity one normally runs around 10 to 15 people, and then the game dev show and tell, depending on the day, is normally about like 20 people. Because a lot of people, if they want to get into game development, they just go to it and like see what people are doing. So,
so are the Houston development meetups are you guys like a close, tight knit community? Do you guys know everybody?
Oh yeah, definitely. We there's a guy named Brandon who helps run some of the meetups, and he's connected with pretty much everyone. I know him. I know people who teach at the Art Institute. It's a small community.
Did you go to the Art Institute?
No, I did not actually. I'm in high school, so.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm from Vancouver and went to the Art Institute for like game programming.
Yeah.
It's you kind of have that like those schools tend to have like kind of a community of people that went to it or the people and stuff like that. Yeah. So what's the biggest? I'm not very familiar with Houston from a game development standpoint. What's the biggest game to like come out of Houston?
I'm not even sure if there's been a big game come out of Houston. I know that there's actually a booth here. The guys are called Shiny Box, and they're doing a game called Dungeon Quest, and they've been published. They got on the App Store around 2.5 years ago, and so they're doing pretty well with that. It's a like free to play sort of like Diablo-esque game, and so that's one of the bigger-ish games I know, but I'm not sure of any other companies. There's also Virtuex Omni developing the basically a multi-directional treadmill for video gaming. They were based in Houston, but they moved to Austin. So.
Oh, did they ever bring that crazy treadmill thing around to the meetups?
No, I don't think they brought it ever to a meetup, but they were at South by Southwest Gaming, and I saw them there and talked to the guys. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, we went to South by Southwest Gaming last year and had a good time. So what's the kind of breakup of like Houston's development scene? Is it like mostly mobile, or is it like educational, or what?
There's a pretty wide variety. Myself, I make like just smallish indie games. We're trying to like just get a few titles out that are sort of simple but fun. Then there's a few mobile developers there, a good amount actually. And one of them's working on a like virtual reality sort of game and for mobile. And then there's also like I said, the Virtuex Omni, which is virtual reality, along with some people doing serious games. There's a guy who actually started the Houston Game Development Show and Tell meetup. He does serious games like educational stuff.
Okay. So you said you worked on smaller games in the past. Have you like distributed those through itch.io or?
The only games I've actually finished have been for Ludum Dare. So and those aren't of the quality I want to actually publish something in my name. So I have those out there, but not officially like published. I haven't tried to market them or anything. So.
What were your? But with Ludum Dare? Oh, because with Ludum Dare you don't have to post what you made.
You do, but it's only on the Loom Dare website, so you don't have to like try to like publish it on anything else. So like you don't have to go through itch.io or Steam or anything like that to have it rated. So it's only on Loom Dare for me.
How'd you find the Loom Dare experience?
Very stressful, but a good experience, and it's really fun. I'd like to try stuff like Global Game Jam, where you actually go to a site to do it instead of it's all online, because I feel like that'd be more encouraging working with the team in person. It'd be a lot less, well, maybe not less stressful, but it'd be a lot more motivating. But overall, it was a fun experience.
Is there a Texan Global Game Jam?
Yeah, it's held at the, well, there's a few actually. There's one at the University of Houston, Clear Lake Community College, and then there's also one at the Art Institute. And both of those, I know the Art Institute one gets sponsored by a few companies. I'm not sure what, but and then I'm not sure about the UHCL one, but yeah, there's a few of them.
Are you planning on going to those on the next chance?
Well, actually, the Global Game Jam is this weekend, and so and it was last year at the same weekend as PAX South also, and I've been at PAX South both years, so I haven't gotten a chance to go to it. But if they happen to have it on a separate weekend than PAX South, I will definitely go.
Yeah. The Vancouver, which is where I'm from, Global Game Jam is happening right now, so yeah. I'm seeing those in my social media feeds. But they get like crazy numbers, like I think like 200-300. They rent out this like huge room in a university, a very nice university, and kind of do it there. So what were your Loom Dare entries?
One of them, the theme was connected worlds, and a lot of people were doing stuff like space stuff, and I took a different approach. I like to try to do more unique stuff. So I thought connected worlds, I thought dimensions. So basically my game was you press the key and it would switch dimensions. So let's say there was a platform in dimension 1 and platform above that in dimension 2. You would jump on the platform while in dimension 1, then jump up and change dimensions mid-air and then land on the second one. And so you go through platforming levels like that. It's a first-person game, not 2D side-scroller. So you would jump around and do stuff like that. And that was one of my entries. And another one was I forget the theme, but basically I made a game where it was sort of similar, but basically instead of like switching dimensions and changing the platforms or like the visibility of the platforms, it would change the gravity. So you would jump on a cube and then change the gravity, and you'd start flying forward or up. So stuff like that.
So back to your main game you're working on now. Yeah. What do you need to do to show it at a show? Like, is it ready to go, or is there some stuff you guys want to accomplish?
So right now we have one enemy done along with a test level, and we have the main mechanics done. And so now what we need to do is add a few more enemies, which won't be too hard, and then just make a ton of levels. So to show it at RTX, we're hoping to get a tutorial level along with like 3 test levels, so people can have like a sort of full experience of what the game's going to be like, with some complexity but not too much, so they get like too involved. Because we want to have people rotating in and out, trying it out and stuff like that. So the goal would probably be just having a few test levels done along with more enemies.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the Question Bus. Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, you can check out our website at atechstudios.com. That is ATECstudios.com. No hyphen or anything. And we should have devlogs on there. So.
Okay, great. I hope you have a great PAX South.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
And that's how you light the way. So the process of me doing this podcast is pretty simple because, I'm making video games. Not really a full-time podcaster. Don't really want to put a huge amount of effort or make a lot of work for myself, because I want to keep it simple and easy and able to do it. And it seems good enough. So most of the episodes are recorded on an H1 Zoom, or is it Zoom H1? Google will probably figure that out for you. That's what I record most of the interviews on, and then I plug my headphones into the audio out and just listen to it as I record it. The Tory interview, this is recorded on a Blue Yeti, neither of which are sponsoring me. Speaking of sponsorships, like if people do want to sponsor me, sponsor the podcast, definitely hit me up. Because, it's a real dumb podcast at times. So I think it being sponsored would definitely add to the joke. But once I do record the interview, what I do, is I take the raw wave and I bring it to mono, and then I export that mono into another wave, and then I put that through Levelator, which is this great program that if you podcast, I highly suggest. It's pretty simple. You drag a file in, the file comes out, and it just kind of levels out all the kind of dialogue, or I wouldn't put music through it. I don't think. Like if you have music in your podcast, I don't think Levelator will handle that well. I might be wrong, but as you can tell, I don't have a music intro at this point. It's definitely something I want to do in the future, but it's the type of thing that once you do it, you can't take it away. So once I do have an intro song, that's just something you're going to have to hear every time, or it's going to have to change, and it's going to have to get updated and do a little Christmas one and do all that stuff. So kind of like the album art, which will be updated in season 2, guaranteed. It's just simple and serviceable and does the job, and it's something I did in a very limited amount of time. So, then when I get that Levelator file back, and then just kind of convert that to an MP3, and upload it. I host all my podcasts on Squarespace. Squarespace is pretty good because it lets you host multiple podcasts. At least when I signed up, they might have changed that. So it helps when you have podcasts that you've started with people that you didn't continue, and you might continue in the future. It's nice to have those up there and have them on iTunes and have them subscribable and all that. And then I changed when I tweeted about, because Twitter's kind of the main form of the podcast, of how I let people know about the podcast. I kind of really bank on retweets by the people on the podcast, because I think that's probably the biggest group of people that, like, most people who follow me are probably aware of my podcast on Twitter. So it's nice when I get the other games or the other people to tweet about the podcast. I don't see a huge, like, I can't look at a podcast episode and be like, oh, this has drastically increased subscribers yet. But it definitely has increased week after week. But I've started tweeting on Mondays, which did help subscribers. When I made that switch, it definitely increased the amount of subscribers I gained a week, which was nice. And also the tweet was more interacted with as well. So I upload them on Saturday morning. So if you're a diehard fan, you're going to be listening to it when you make breakfast on Saturday or whenever you listen to your podcast. But if you're like a casual fan and you don't listen to it yet, like Monday is the time I let you know. I'm definitely gonna be playing around with more with season 1. I'm gonna put it up on YouTube and put it up on SoundCloud and kind of put it up everywhere else, just to see and go through that, because I'm interested in kind of hosting podcasts. So I think it's doing a podcast myself definitely gives me a better idea of what it takes, and maybe there's a scenario where I have multiple podcasts I'm not even on, or something like that in the future. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of things that could happen as far as me and podcasts. As far as my other podcasts, like Here, I definitely do plan on updating, but I don't know. It's definitely more work than the Question Bus, especially because like the pre-written stuff received better with the people who listen to it than me just rambling like this. So I have to, and writing like an intro is surprisingly hard for me, and reading that intro, like I'm much better at just kind of turning on a mic and talking. Like it's a much more comfortable thing that I can do, as opposed to trying to write something funny and then reread it back. I mean, the sausages thing, maybe that was just a time and place. I mean, and it also, like, the name of the podcast, like, kind of inspired me. So it's Yeah, but Keir Hero will be back. I mean, I just haven't been on any really like high profile podcast that I would want to rehost. I've definitely started saving questions that I've emailed or asked on podcasts. Which in that scenario, like, I'm not very known. Like, it's not only like, yes, I've emailed into Dave Lang's podcast and Tim Rogers' podcast and gotten plugs in that way, but I kind of want to do that. I think that would be good, but it's also something that I feel like I don't really want to do. Like, I don't really want to be scrubbing through people's podcasts and finding the question and editing it and then recording an intro and stuff like that. So it's something on the back burner, and definitely will update it as I'm on more podcasts, because I feel like having a podcast where it's kind of a podcast feed for my mother in a way, even though she doesn't listen to it. It's like, because it's hard to, if you follow somebody, like, it's kind of hard to listen to every podcast they're on if they're guesting on podcasts, and it's not necessarily that great of an experience. Like, Fonte is one of my favorite rappers, if not my favorite rapper, and I love hearing him speak, and he guests on podcasts, and I tend to listen to him on SoundCloud because I don't really want to subscribe to a podcast just because they interviewed my favorite rapper. So I kind of want to check it out, and checking it out via podcast app is not necessarily that smooth, at least with the podcast app I use, which is Beyond Pod. So Keir Hero definitely be back. Especially, it's kind of based on like when I get a good chunk of like quality interviews. I think that will kind of encourage me to jump back in. But it's definitely jumping back in. We're gonna keep that going. And that was one take. That wasn't like a cut transition either. And probably could have been executed better. But we're gonna talk about Town of Salem, which was another interview I recorded at PAX South. Hello, what's your name and what's your game?
I'm Blake Burns of Blank Media Games, and the game is Town of Salem.
What is Town of Salem?
So Town of Salem is a online murder mystery game based on social deduction, where you get thrown into a town, no one knows who the other people are, and the bad guys have to slowly kill off the good guys while deflecting accusations and lying their way out of situations.
What platforms is it for?
So we're on the browser for free on our website. We're also on Steam, and we're also coming to mobile before April.
And is it a free-to-play game?
It is free to play on the browser. On Steam it's $5, but it comes with $5 of in-game currency that can be used to buy cosmetic items.
Is there any extra challenges in running a free-to-play game based to the browser as well as having Steam as far as community?
Yeah, I mean, they're two completely separate communities, really, and you have to manage them as such because they have very different wants and needs as people in their community. So the Steam users definitely want the game to be extremely solid and very fast, because most games on Steam, on the browser there's some loading times allowed, but on Steam you can't have any of that,
So, as far as the Steam client, are you like downloading everything from a server to make sure it's accurate with the browser-based, or are you calling for all that information straight from the browser-based server?
Both versions of the game work from the same base, so they're always up to date with each other, and they're never out of sync.
And so the Steam one pulls everything at launch, or is it still accessing everything like when you play it?
It's whenever you launch it, it checks to see if there's any updates based on that. And the browser does the same, but it has to dynamically download those things at runtime rather than, Steam gets to do it kind of as a patch before the game even launches.
Did you use like the same kind of web browser rendering to do the Steam version, or did you write like a whole new client for Steam?
Right now we're using the same rendering stuff. We use Flash on the website version, and we use Adobe Air to make that work on the Steam client. But currently we're rewriting our entire client base for mobile in C++, and we're going to be transferring that over to Steam sometime in the near future.
How is that transition process from going from Flash to C++ going for you?
It's going okay. It's a lot of work, especially whenever we tried to go down one road for mobile and had to scrap it completely and start over. But C++ is our main language because that's what our server is written in. So it's been an easy transition to get it started, and it's just been a lot of work rewriting the entire client to get it to where we want it to be.
If you had to give, as far as the code base, a percentage of how much is in the back end and how much is in the front end, what would you say?
I would say it's probably somewhere like 75-25 and the 75 is the back end. There's a lot of complicated stuff going on the server, and the client is more of a way to display what the server wants you to see.
So are you running the server yourself, or are you using AWS?
We're using Rackspace.
Okay. Is that like an AWS?
It's similar. Virtual boxes that you can spin up at any time.
Have server costs, are they a substantial part of your budget?
The server costs aren't cheap, obviously, but they are not anywhere near expensive enough to make us want to switch or do it ourselves because, our biggest cost right now is definitely employees. Whenever we started the company, 2 years ago, it was just me and my buddy, and now we're up to 8 people, all sustaining off of the game. So that's definitely our biggest cost.
And for the mobile version, I take it, is there going to be a fair amount of UI updating?
For the first pass, there won't be too much. There'll definitely be some differences here and there because we're going to tablets first, and that's going to allow us to do minor UI updates to make sure that works. And then as we move to phones, there'll be more extensive UI updates.
One thing I noticed about your booth, which I thought stood out, is that you're showing a popular YouTuber streamer, Markiplier, as kind of like a demo trailer. What made you come to that decision?
Well, Markiplier definitely has a presence at cons. A lot of people walk by and recognize him, so that gets more traffic to our booth. And he's a really great guy. We've worked with him in the past, and he likes the game, and we have a good working relationship with him.
Okay. Have you had a lot of streamer kind of coverage of your game?
Yeah, definitely. We're really popular on YouTube. Mark is currently the biggest guy that's covered us so far, but that's definitely going to change soon. And we've had people like Soda Poppin' and Lyric pick it up on the Twitch side. So we've got some pretty large people.
So you say that's going to change soon, but Markiplier is pretty big, big time. So does that mean there's something bigger coming?
Maybe.
And then I guess my next question is, when you were designing the game, when you were developing it, did you have the whole kind of Twitch playing games as an entertainment form in mind, or is that just something that's perfect for your type of game?
Yeah, I mean, it actually kind of just naturally happened. We didn't plan for that. We never, from conception, decided that this would be a great game for YouTube or Twitch, but it just ended up that a lot of people jumped on it and liked it that way.
And then another question, are you getting more coverage on YouTube or Twitch?
Definitely YouTube, I think. We do get the thing with Twitch is that it's kind of very spiky. If you have a big streamer pick you up for a day, that day is really good, but they might not play your game for another month. Whereas most YouTubers, when they pick up a thing, they make a series out of it where, episode comes out every week or so. So we get a lot more consistent stuff from YouTube and spikier stuff from Twitch.
Okay. And then you were saying you have an 8-person team. What's the kind of breakdown of that team, role-wise?
Yeah, we've got... I am the COO, but I am also a developer.
Yep.
My partner is the CEO, and he's also a developer. And then we have 2 new guys we just hired on as developers. And then we have our lead client programmer, who's the most senior programmer besides me and my buddy Josh. Then we have a art director, and then we have a contract artist. And then we have a community manager / QA / a bunch of other stuff.
So are aesthetics of your characters, is that the main way you're monetizing in the free-to-play game?
Yeah, we sell a lot of different cosmetics, which includes, new characters / avatars, pets, houses, backgrounds. We also sell things like scrolls that let you have a little bit higher chance of being the role that you want to be, because it is a randomized game. And letting you tweak those odds a little bit in your favor lets us sell something to the people that really want to be certain roles.
And how much does deception, which is core to your game, affect the art style?
I think the biggest thing is that it has to our art style juxtaposes onto the idea, the content of the game, where you have these cute cartoony type characters, but they're sitting there lying and killing, and we have burned at the stake animations and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very comical kind of thing, because you see these cartoon characters in these very grotesque situations, and it kind of makes it funny rather than morbid.
Do you have data on how people prejudge each other based on their avatars? Like, is there a pirate? If there was a pirate outfit, are pirates not trustworthy? Like, do you have the data to kind of say that?
We definitely have. Back in the day, before it was easier to get town points and it was much harder to get these skins, there was definitely a preference for people that have the bought skins to be targeted first, because they're known as the better player, because they've had enough time to save up the coins for that. But these days, it's not that hard to get enough money to buy one of these characters now. So pretty much everyone in the game will have a different character, and the actual individual avatars don't really get targeted more than any other one.
Does your game have like a play-by-email mode? Like, I take a turn, you take a turn?
It's not turn-based. It's a strange combination between real-time and phase-based. So you have, a minute and a half day phase to discuss what happened during the night. And then whenever you do all that, there's the voting phase that lasts about 30 seconds. So it's a fast-paced thing, but there is time limitations on each phase.
Cool. Well, thanks for talking with me. And
Absolutely.
Hope you have a good rest of the show.
You too.
And good luck with the mobile versions. iOS and Android?
Definitely.
BlackBerry?
No.
Windows Phone?
Maybe.
Okay. Goodbye.
We're back. One thing I wanted to save for this grand finale, episode 52, end of season 1 of the Question Bus, is I wanted to go to my iTunes page and kind of just document what is on there. Because I had never looked at the reviews, never really looked at any stats on iTunes page and stuff like that. So, yeah, let's read this up. So, in case you're unaware, the description of the podcast is: The Question Bus is a game industry professional interview podcast. Keir Miron, that's me. That's not part of the description, so I'll just restart the sentence. Keir Miron is a video game developer based out of Kitsilano, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and he is best known for working on the hit game Darkest Dungeon. Keir travels around the world interviewing other game industry professionals. Some he knows, and some he meets for the first time. The Question Bus, the public transportation of knowledge. I completely forgot that I made that the iTunes description. But still holds true. Darkest Dungeon still a hit game. I'm still in Kitsilano. I guess I'm still traveling the world. I mean, that might change for season 2. I mean, there might be some traveling, like if I want to go talk to Tyler Sigmund and on this podcast and not on the Chase Cast, I'm probably gonna have to do that in Seattle. Yeah. So let's see. What's the most popular episodes? Surprisingly, Invisigun, the first episode, very popular. Even though it's 3 minutes long, it's about like 18 of 20 bars. Tim Rogers' first video about one, which is a great one, episode 1, that's full 20 of 20 bars, I think. It's really high, like they're really small width bars, so it's kind of hard to gauge. Next one, Liam Rom of Barclay 2 Shut Up and Jam. That was a big hit, which is good. I like him a lot. He's a very funny guy. Tim Rogers again with a very popular 18 of 20 bar episode. Torre episodes like medium, probably say like 14 of 20 bars, which is kind of, I think that makes it funnier just because, like, I don't know. I'm super proud of that episode, and I think it's hilarious that I interviewed a rapper that I backed on Kickstarter, but that popularity level definitely resonates with the reception of people that when I tell them I interviewed a rapper, they're not that excited, mostly because they haven't heard of Torre, which is not Torre's fault. Torre is a great rapper, very big in the New York scene, hosts a satellite radio station. Like, he's not, because that's the one thing I learned. When I said, hey, I've interviewed a rapper, and I tell people that, they would assume I interviewed some guy in the street, some rapper trying to sell a CD at PAX or something, is what people assume when I say I've interviewed a rapper. But no, I interviewed like a credible rapper. Like, he's rapped with many a people. But when you're not knowledgeable about the music genre, that makes it difficult when you're not like a household name. But keeping it moving, Patrick Morgan of Gurgermoth, popular episode, about as popular as the Torre episode. Andy Schatz, medium popularity, tooth and tail. Michael Block, We Are Chicago, got a good popularity rating. Same that him, Torre, and Andy Schatz all kind of similar. Tim Rogers, when I interviewed Tim Rogers at E3, very popular episode, which is good because that's really special, especially because most people have only heard the 2 Tim Rogers interviews, but the 3rd Tim Rogers interview, episode 23, that's really where we get to the nitty and gritty about Video Ball. And Streamline's pretty popular. I mean, I bet this is also related to like retweets and Twitter followings and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a good interview. Because I can bang out a lot of these interviews at single events, like not even conferences. Like, there's this thing called The Mix that happens at almost every convention that's kind of like a press indie dev kind of night, though it really is like an indie dev demo night, but it's usually like 20-30 games. And at E3 I went there, interviewed the Manifold Garden William, interviewed him on the way in, went up the interview, interviewed Andy Schatz, then followed that up by interviewing Seth Siviak of Streamline. So I can get a lot of episodes going when I'm in my groove, which is why this podcast was able to happen, because I'm going to these shows anyways to demo Darkest Dungeon, because that's what I do. If Darkest Dungeon's being demoed, I'm probably there. I've been to, I think, the most shows on the team as far as demoing the game. But yeah, so it's a very convenient way of doing this. Like, carry the microphone. I go on my break from demoing the game. I can get an interview in and then come back, or before the show opens, get an interview in. So it's super easy for me to do this format. So yeah, then the last 2 kind of popular ones, James Silva of Salt and Sanctuary, much more popular than Michelle Silva's episode, just cool. And then Ty Taylor of Tumblestone fame at Steam Dev Days, he's probably one of the biggest fans of the Keir here sausage intro. So I get that's kind of on brand with what we're doing and popular. So those are the most popular episodes. Okay, on the bottom of the page it says listeners also subscribe to the Game Design Dojo podcast, which I've never heard of, with Brian and Ike. Might be huge. I'm just saying what listeners also subscribe to. The Giant Bombcast, which makes sense. I'm a big Giant Bomb fan. 99% Invisible. People all subscribe to that. That's a great design podcast. Kind of design of everyday things. Not everyday things, but just design of things in general. I do subscribe to that, as well as the Giant Bombcast. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. Never heard of that as well, but a podcast that my podcast listeners like. Which is kind of silly that I'm reading this out, just because if you subscribe to my podcast, it's probably how you're listening to this, and then I'm just saying what you're already subscribed to. And then Serial, by This American Life, which is a drama podcast. Like, it's kind of like a talk radio drama that I don't listen to because I can't. I listen to podcasts and I love them, but I kind of always need to be able to miss something, and I'm worried about that with Serial. Like with Serial, I'm worried I'm going to miss, be doing dishes or whatever, and or eating, however, whatever I'm normally doing when I'm listening to a podcast, walking around, and I'm going to miss something, and it's going to be crucial to the story. So I haven't actually listened to Serial at this point. So that's what's on the main page. Now we're going to go to, let's just see if the website link works. Yep. Okay. Report a concern. No concerns have been reported to me. Not going to test if that works. Also going to click on Keir Miron, video game developer. That just brings this page up again. But that's fine. Let's go to the ratings and reviews. Okay. 2 reviews. Apparently, we've not received enough ratings to display an average score for this podcast. That's fine. The thing about reading the reviews is I didn't want to make a call out for you to write reviews to read because I think that's kind of I'm probably never going to do this again. So review it if you want. It definitely helps the podcast, but I'm not losing sleep over iTunes reviews. So the first one. Title of this review. This is on March 2nd, 2016. Occasionally Informative by Cybex. A fun, brief interview format that is occasionally informative. That's a very nice review. 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you. And then the second review on December 17th, 2016. Tiny Asian Lady says, almost my favorite podcast. So both of those very helpful. Now I'm just gonna see what happens if I click on Cybex. Oh, I get to read all of their reviews. Oh wow. Oh, I didn't know this was a thing. Well, let's read all of his reviews. It's the grand finale, episode 52 of the Question Bus. So he reviewed something called Mr. Robot, or they interviewed something called Mr. Robot 1.51 extra filtration .ipa by Telltale Inc. And here's the review. Smartly implemented narrative. This game is a simulated text messaging app similar to games like Lifeline, but set in the Mr. Robot universe. It has some neat nods to shown and well-written characters. I feel like there could have been some other method of gathering information on characters than just text messages and user profiles, but the game does good with what it has. A bit shorter than initially seemed as well, but I feel like it's worth the price. He's got 27 reviews. Okay. Deus Ex Go. I asked for this is the title, and the body is Great Evolution of Square Enix Montreal's Go franchise with the elements adopted from Deus Ex. Trials Frontier. Fateful. 5 stars. He also gave 5 stars to Deus Ex Go and 4 stars to Mr. Robot. This is a faithful version of Trials. The controls work great, and the game feels very polished. Okay. Sid Meier's Ace Patrol. To the Skies, 5 stars. Sid Meier proves that he is the king of conveying complex real-world concepts into easy-to-play games that still retain a lot of depth. One of the best strategy games on iOS. Okay? Dark Horse Comics. Books. Their iTunes... What? Oh, that's the format. Okay, books. Not bad. 4 stars. It lacks the interface and usability polish of the Chromixology apps, but as the only place to read Dark Horse, it's not half bad. Space Team, hell of a game. He gave it 5 stars. Title, buy it. Body, buy it now. I personally would have just said now is the body, because I don't think you can see the body without the title. Tiny Towers. I don't know if I really want to do this. Let's see if he's reviewed any other podcasts. I don't know who this is, too. I have an idea who Tiny Asian Lady is, so I don't really want to browse her reviews. Okay, here's a good one. He reviewed Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or they reviewed it. Finest hour, 5 stars. Edgar White manages to carefully balance 6 volumes worth of story in the running time of a 2-hour film, and he comes out on top. Wright creates a new visual language for this film that flows like nothing else. It's really funny that you can browse this. I wonder if there's any iTunes celebrities as far as reviews. Like the food reviewer of iTunes. And apparently iTunes, there's only 4 pages. So I was wrong about the 5 pages. It says 5, you click 5, but nothing happens. So yeah, let's go to the related tab. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was reading earlier, and then there's other podcasts they recommend in video games, but that's not related to what I'm doing. It's related in that it's video games, but it's not related to the subscribers of my podcast. So, yeah, that's what's going on iTunes. I mean, feel free to leave a review. More positive review the better. But yeah. We'll maybe revisit this, but no time soon. So, how about another podcast? Well, not another podcast, another interview. This is the grand finale, episode 52 of the Question Bus. So yeah, there's. I'm just gonna let the interview sell the game. This was the most recent of the interviews of this episode, which happened at PAX Prime 2016. Here we go. What's your name and what's your game?
I'm Brian Allenson. My game is Y2K, a postmodern RPG.
What's a postmodern RPG?
Basically the game is inspired by postmodern literature, like authors like Haruki Murakami and drawing blanks on names right now.
Yeah, okay, so it's inspired by literature.
So postmodern literature.
What are, in what ways has literature what are some examples of the way it influenced the game? Because it's kind of a very different medium, so.
Yeah, obviously the game has a story, but also some of the ideas from literature, like unreliable narrators, like intertextuality, things like that. Like we have a message board in the game that sort of serves to give you extra information about the game's world.
Like a fake online message board
with people in the game who post to it. So like the NPCs in the game post to the board. And you don't necessarily know who anyone is though, because they all have different usernames and they will behave different online compared to how they behave in real life.
Oh. So is that kind of a reacurring, is that kind of a key part of the game, is the online interaction?
Definitely, the sort of duality of people's personalities, not just online and offline, but in general, different contexts, amongst friends or strangers.
And are there kind of chat groups or different topics on the message board that you can filter in?
So the message board revolves around conspiracy theories like the occult and really strange stuff like that. And your character Alex is trying to weed out the fake stuff from the real stuff. And he meets people from the board along the way.
Okay, now it's a party-based RPG.
Yeah.
Are the other party members also on this message board?
They are, yes.
Okay, and so how big does the party get?
There are 8 party members total.
And are they all forced in your party, or are they optional?
I probably shouldn't say that necessarily.
Okay, yeah, no, that's cool. That's a good thing to keep guessing. So I was looking at the 2 different stations you had set up, and there were 2 kind of drastically different settings. One was an apartment, and the other one was some sort of outdoor kind of forest wilderness area with tunnels and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like a full JRPG. So there's a lot of different areas. There's towns. There's an overworld. There's dungeons, caves. Stranger things that you probably haven't seen in other games too.
So what kind of JRPGs have you been drawing the most inspiration from?
I would say it's sort of a mashup of Earthbound meets Persona meets Wild Arms, if I were to pick 3 games.
Okay. And which of the personas is it most like?
Persona 4, I would say it's most like, as well as it's also got influences from Shadow Hearts and Paper Mario. So in battle, there's different mini games that you have to use to execute different abilities in combat.
Yeah, the moves I saw in combat, they all seem to be like music based. Is like music, like are they forming a band or?
They are not. The main character uses fights with LPs because he's sort of like a record nerd, and then Vela has a guitar, but like the other guy fights with a katana. We have a character who has a camera. We have a character who's an android, and there's a character who fights with a hula hoop, and there's a guy who doesn't fight at all. He's a peaceful protester.
Okay, so humor's a big, seems to be a big part of the game.
Yeah, the game goes from very humorous to very serious, like, very quickly.
As a designer, how do you kind of time that transition? Like, do you have like a formula you're going with, or?
We don't have a formula. I think a lot of it was learned from playing games like Link's Awakening and Earthbound, where they have a lot of like, sort of like switching different emotions like very quickly. And I think we just sort of got heavily influenced by those games growing up. I think that's where a lot of it comes from.
Okay. So you're showing at the Mega booth there's not a lot of like kind of slower RPGs. Is there anything you did for the show to kind of make it demo? Because like a JRPG is something you're going to spend tens of hours in. You're going to get really in deep in the characters. You're going to read all the text. And did you do anything special for the show to kind of for the demo?
Definitely. We cut down some like numbers of enemies, which we've done in the game in general to speed things along. Like there aren't as many encounters as some other RPGs would have. For the show specifically, we also gave people a couple of options to skip past certain parts. Like when you first try to leave the house, it asks you if you want to go straight to the dungeon or if you want to explore. So we pretty much leave it up to players. If they're the kind of person who just wants to get into it, we give them that option, or if they want to just sort of meander around, looking at every little detail, they can do that too.
Okay. What's the kind of combat system like?
So it's like a regular turn-based RPG, but you go to use any skill and a mini-game will begin. And then each character has different mini-games, and some of those mini-games will be modified by the types of weapons that you have equipped. So like Alex has this like record that comes down, and you have to hit colored sections on the record, like as they come underneath the needle, and you can rack up combos that way.
Were there any like unique challenges with developing those kind of mini games or like individual control schemes per move?
The hardest part, I think, was because it's like a 25 to 30 hour game. Just keeping the games like fun and interesting, and so we had to like find ways to add depth to them and allow them to evolve, so that the player didn't get really good at them in the beginning and then just find the rest of the game boring.
So when you upgrade the skills, does that also modify the minigame, or?
Yeah, so upgrading skills will like when you level up, like certain minigames, like we have got one that's sort of like a it's sort of like a Space Invaders kind of thing where you can like shoot LPs at enemies, but as you get stronger, you can start shooting more of them, or depending on the type of weapon you have, it'll change. Like maybe it'll start shooting in a V shape instead of straight forward or something like that. So the weapon, like stronger weapons, will dictate how that plays out.
Now, did the story, as far as like your cast of characters that can be in your party, was the story the driving factor of that, or did you make like all the mini games, all the moves, and all the characters, and then build a story around it?
The mini games came after the characters. We tried to kind of base a lot of them on their personalities and like the kind of weapons that they use.
Has it been hard developing a lot of the mini games? Like, did you have a character and then try to have to come up with mini games that?
Yeah, there are definitely like a couple of mini games that we tried, they just weren't working, or some characters you're like, oh, how do we do this? This is going to be interesting.
Like how many peaceful protest mini games?
Yeah.
What are some of the peaceful protesters mini games?
So you can choose to talk to enemies, and then you have like a sort of Shin Megami Tensei style dialogue tree with them, or you can either get them to retreat or they'll just get mad at you, that kind of thing.
Okay, cool. So thanks for being on the question bus. Is there anything else you want to plug?
No, that's it. We have a demo coming out for the game on the 6th. If you go to y2krpg.com, you can find that there. There's a download link.
Okay, do you have any like social medias or anything?
We're Ack Studios, ACKK Studios, on Twitter.
Yeah. Do you have like a personal Twitter?
I don't. That's just the one that we use.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope you have a good rest of the show. What's the next thing you're gonna fix as soon as you get home?
I'm not sure. There's a couple of different little glitches I noticed here. Not too big. This weird little collider issue in this one area I'm going to look at next because people are tripping over it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I mean, it's good to have a list of, like, I find these shows are always just a good list of things I should do. Yeah,
it's always fun to watch people play it, and they play it different than you play it, and you go, oh, I didn't think of that. So, yeah.
And that was the last of the 3 interviews for the grand finale, episode 52 of the Question Bus. I'd like to thank myself for being on the Question Bus, as well as everybody who I've interviewed. And it's been a great pleasure doing this, and I've had a great time. And also I've made some good social kind of bonds with people, which is something I did not expect out of this podcast. Because I wouldn't think recording a 50-minute interview would make people a little bit closer, but it did. So, yeah, I got an even broader circle of game developer friends and industry friends, and it's been a great experience. Really enjoyed it, and definitely do it because I find it fun. Like, it's not something I'm trying to monetize right now or trying to use as a platform. It's just something fun I like to do, and I kind of subscribe to. I have a really great friend, Graham Hamilton, who kind of subscribes to the thought of, like, if you like something, you should probably try and make it. So that was kind of one of the main inspirations of doing this podcast, as well as like seeing Dave Lang do it. Not that I want to do everything Dave Lang does, but if he can do it, I should be able to do it, right? Like, there's not a lot of game developer on the road podcasts. I mean, you got Idle Thumbs and their force of podcasts. But yeah, it's been a fun experience, and I'm looking forward to season 2. Don't know exactly what that's going to be. I mean, I've talked about some ideas, but another thing I wanted to talk about, just to you people who are still listening to this podcast, 3 interviews in, 3 intros in, and you're still listening, I've created an email called the Question Bus at KeirMiron.com, which you should be able to spell both of those really at this point. But yeah, if you want to send any questions there, send them. I don't know what I'm going to use those for or what exact format that's going to encompass, but yeah, if you have questions, email the Question Bus at KeirMiron.com and they might get answered, which is exciting. And also, it might be nice as a little filler, because I wouldn't want to leave you guys for too long. If I'm doing like a higher production thing for season 2, or doing a more in-depth thing, or want to line up kind of the perfect season before uploading it, an email question format might be good for to kind of tide people over while I get season 2 sorted out. But yeah, it's been a fun experience. As far as stuff to plug, because I always ask that question, which is hilarious, like how 9 out of 10 people don't immediately have a spiel. But you can follow me on Twitter at Keir Miron. You can follow me on Instagram at Keir Miron. If you can't spell Keir or Miron, which I understand a lot of people misspell it, but that's kind of key to following me on social media. You can also follow me on Snapchat. Don't post a lot there. Use it more as a communication tool, but I've kind of been posting stuff there because I go to this like All Games arcade in Vancouver. It's kind of pop up All Games Vancouver. I'll post stuff there. It's kind of more of a venue of me like shouting out a game that looks cool, very casually. I also did some of that during the Belgium trip, which I took with Chris Barassa and Jeff Tanksock. Email the question bus, follow me on whatever you got. Darkest Dungeons still on sale. As far as like purchasable, it's not on discount at this moment to my knowledge, but yeah, it's available. I don't really plug Darkest Dungeon a lot on this podcast, but it's out on Steam and PS4 and GOG and Humble, and the Apple Store. So you got lots of places you can play Darkest Dungeon. A lot of cool stuff's gonna be coming this year, which I can't really talk about because I don't know exactly what's NDA'd and what's not. But if you follow Darkest Dungeon on Twitter or follow me on Twitter, I'll definitely be posting about it. So yeah, a lot of exciting things. Excited for season 2, and yeah, I hope you've had a great ride on the question bus, and I hope you have enjoyed season 1, The Road Show, which I didn't really name. I didn't start the season going like, oh, it's called The Road Show, but I think at the end of the day now, question bus season 1, The Road Show.